Investigators are still trying to piece together the mystery behind missing Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. Malaysian officials say the search area now covers large areas of land and deep and remote oceans. Meanwhile, authorities say the final words from the pilots came after one of the plane's communication systems had already been shut down. We're joined now live by Barnaby, our correspondent, who's live for us in Kuala Lumpur. And Barnaby, what's the latest on the investigation there?
Well, Anand, Malaysian authorities have stopped short of saying that there was hijacking involved in this incident, but there is definitely a criminal investigation ongoing now. They're looking at who may be responsible for steering this plane off course. They believe, of course, now that this plane had been heading westward instead of northeast to Beijing. Naturally, the spotlight has turned to the pilots because, one, they're the only ones who are supposed to have access to the cockpit, and two, satellite data shows that the plane had been traveling from waypoint to waypoint, meaning that the plane had been traveling on a known flight path that only someone with the experience, with the knowledge, and with the expertise would know.
After learning a lot from...
This YouTube video shows Malaysia Airlines pilot Zahari Ahmad Shah advising people on how to save power. Harmless enough? Yes, and even helpful. But behind him is a flight simulator. Why there's one in what appears to be his home is now the subject of much speculation. Zahari is the captain of the missing Flight 370. Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah apparently has a house inside this gated community just outside Kuala Lumpur, where he lives with his wife and one of 3 children. Now, we're not being allowed in, but what we do know is that police have searched this house last Saturday. Now, there are reports in local media that he'd moved his family to another house just a day before he flew Flight 370.
We took possession of a simulator, of a flight simulator, and we have dismantled it from the home, and we have assembled it at our office, and we are getting experts to look at it now.
But Peter Chong, a friend whom Zahari met in a community service event, says flying was more than just a profession for the 30-year veteran pilot.
He enjoys flying and he shares the joys of flying with his friends. If I'm on an aircraft and I'm allowed the choice of choosing a pilot, I would choose Captain Zahari. In the case of an accident in a plane, as a pilot, he would make sure that the welfare of the crew and the passengers are taken care of before he even thinks about his own safety.
Police also searched the home of his co-pilot, 27-year-old Farik Abdul Hamid. Neighbors told us that they don't know him that well, but that his father was a respected figure in the community.
He is very friendly, and he is actively involved in community outreach. Farik comes from a good family, and at the very least, I can tell you he is a very polite young man.
But while the spotlight has been on the 2 pilots, authorities say that at this point, all passengers and crew are under investigation. Now, what we can confirm at this point from Malaysia Airlines is that Zahari and Farik did not request to fly together, but Malaysian authorities are saying they're looking at all possible angles at this point, including the possibility that someone else on the plane may have steered this plane off course. Of course, they have made background checks on all passengers and crew from day one, but now they're rechecking and they're asking all countries, all 15 countries with citizens on board, to give them all the information that they need. Some passengers have been cleared, some passengers haven't been cleared, but again, they're looking at all angles. They haven't dropped the angles of sabotage. There is that angle of psychological problems and also personal problems among the crew and maybe between the crew and the passengers. Of course, now the search area has expanded from the Gulf of Thailand all the way north to Kazakhstan, and the southern corridor from Indonesia all the way south to the Indian Ocean, maybe to Australia. And so 25 countries are now involved in this massive search and rescue effort. Anand.
Thanks, Barnaby. Barnaby Lowe there from Kuala Lumpur.